So good morning, everybody. Again, we're going to try to wrap up lesson 9 today. And it ends with, again, more styling of tables, different ways of entering tables into your page. In this particular instance, we're going to add tabular data. We're going to import it, and then we're going to style it. And by wrapping it in a section tag, it will already possess many of the elements that we styled in this first table. But it's going to be, we're going to have to create new selectors, and we're going to have to modify it, and on and on and on. And then the last part, which is really very tricky, is that we want to make sure that this is styled correctly for a smartphone. So we already created one media query, and we're going to make sure that it works. Because right now you can see when I stretch it down to a small screen, it just shrinks it down, and that's not what we want. And how and why they arrived at this solution, I don't know. I'm just following the instructions, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but once you have achieved, the desired goal, again, I encourage you to save all of this because it does work really, really well. So one of the first things that we have to do is it's sort of an enigma to me, but we have to switch from live view to design view to be able to add and to import this tabular data. So it's just, before we imported an HTML file, or here it was an Excel spreadsheet. And now we're just going to import the raw data, and it's going to be put inside a table. So in order to add that tabular data or to import it, we have to be in design view. Why? I don't know. It's just that is the case. So if you click, you switch to design view, and I would recommend you have split view so you can see what's going on in the code. You can select any one of these cells, it doesn't matter. And then you come down to the tag selector below and make sure that you have the entire section selected, not just the table, but the entire selection. And then what we want to do is you hit the right arrow key in the lower right-hand corner of your keyboard. And you'll notice in code view that the cursor is inserted right after the closing tag of the section, and that allows us to import. So now what we can do is I can go to File, and I'm going to import tabular data. And where do I find that data? For us right now, it happens to be inside our root folder, which is where if you were creating your own website, it would need to be. And it's going to be inside the resource folder. Okay. And so with resources selected, we can come back in here. And what I want is the CSV, which is the data for that. And I'm going to move my image here a little bit. Now I'm going to click open. Okay. And then the next thing that we want to do, because it says you're importing this tabular data, you want to put it in a table, and we're going to set the table width default 100%, just as we did before. Okay. So I make sure that that's selected. And we're not going to deal with cell padding or anything else. And we can go ahead and we can click OK. And then when we scroll up, we can see that we've inserted a table. Okay. Now it follows the form of it. It is constrained, all of the data contained within a table. And you'll notice that we have a class, we have a description, a length, a day, a cost. So we have, a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns here. And we had 4 before. So we're going to have to make some adjustments because it sort of works, but it doesn't. So one of the first things that we want to do to make sure that this fits the selectors that we create styles we adapt fit what we've done before, we have to make sure that this whole thing is wrapped in a section tag. And then we'll see immediately some of the things that we've done before. So I'm going to come over here to the DOM. That's the easiest thing. And make sure that the whole table is selected. Okay, and then I can hit the plus sign. And what I want to do is I want to wrap a tag around it. Instead of the default div, I'll put a section tag. And I go ahead and I hit the return key twice. And there we go. Now, if we haven't really done anything yet, it doesn't look like we have. But you can see it conforms a little bit better to what we see at the top. And you'll really notice it if we switch back to live view. And we scroll down again to see it. And you can see that there is minimal formatting between each of the rows. There is the green stroke that appears. But notice that the header has not been defined, and we need to do that. And then we're going to copy in some of the styles from what we've done here, and then apply them to new styles that we're creating down here. Okie doke. So let's see if we can get that working. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to design view, and we're going to style the header just by switching from table data, because when I click on there, notice each one of these says TD for table data, and we're going to change that to table header. And even if I were to do it from here, if I were to hit Command T, notice if it says table data, but if I hit table header, and then I hit return key, notice how it automatically defaults now, and it fits to that format. So I can do it from here, but they're asking us to work in design view. You're not going to see those changes right now. Well, you are going to see some of it. So I'll click inside this one. They suggest that we can select the entire row and change it, but I have not had success. So just as we did before, I'm just selecting each table data and hitting Command T to go in here, and I'm going to hit, instead of table data, I'm going to hit table header, and then hit the return key. Okay, so I got that one. I got the wrong one selected, so I'm going to go ahead and hit table header, and we got that one. Let me go back. You know what? It's actually working easier for me. Let's go back to live view for a minute. See if I'm screwing things up. Yeah, I'm going to go back in here, and instead of table data, I'm going to hit Command T, and I want it table header. There we go. So that works. Sometimes, as I said, we were working on this before, that when you're in design view, it's very difficult to see what you're doing sometimes. And so anytime you can work on live view, that would be my recommendation. So again, Command T, and instead of table data, we're going to put table header and hit the return key twice. So I'm doing that for each one of these. Command T, table header, and the last one, cost. Okay, Command T, and table header. There we go. So we have them all formatted, but notice that now the header doesn't match the columns that we've established down here. So this is where it gets into things that are a little bit tricky. So what we want to do is we're going to use the selector over here, and we're going to start to create a whole new series of selectors based on the existing ones. So make sure that we have green styles selected, and then we're going to apply them to each of the columns like we had done in the last part of the lesson. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I want to make sure that I have section cost selected. That's the first one. Okay, and if you right click on it, we can copy all styles. So all the styles that have been applied to section class cost, we can copy. Okay, so that's what we're doing first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new section called day. Okay, so actually we need to, no. I want to copy all that, and because we need to change it for one for class too. So wait a minute, we have class description day. Okay, let's start. Let me just start, and I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all styles. Then I'm going to come up here and we're going to create a new selector. Okay, and that new selector is going to have, since I copied it all, it's going to be section in the section space day. Okay, and I'll hit the return key. And we're going to go twice, and I'm going to come back up here, and with day selected, again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste styles. Okay. And see if that gets us in the right place here. Okay, but remember, we haven't applied the day to any of these yet. So any of these columns. So I'm just preparing all of this. And then we're going to do the same. We're going to go ahead and instead what we're going to do, we're going to right click on the cost, and we're going to duplicate styles this time. So a different way of doing it is to duplicate it. And instead of section cost, this is going to be section.length. Since you can't have two that are the same, but I have duplicated it. And now we have, by hitting it twice and we're going down here, we've got a new one here. And then what we're going to do for the others is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to, we want class, we're going to copy date. We're going to duplicate the rule date. So let's go back to date again, and we're going to right click and we're going to duplicate it. Again, this gets kind of weird. And instead of date, we're going to use, this will be the one for class. So we'll go ahead, class, return key twice. Okay. So here's class. And while this is selected, we're going to change the width to 10 ems. Okay, so while we have this selected, I want to make sure that show set isn't selected right now. But the width, instead of 6 ems, we're going to change that to 10 ems. Okay. And you'll notice that nothing is changing yet. Remember, we have not assigned a class to each of these columns. We're just preparing all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate event, which is something that we created before. So I'm going to come back up here, and we're going to take here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to duplicate event. But what I want for, instead of event, is that this is going to be used for the description in here. So description, I got to make sure I'm spelling all this right too. Because I'm a horrible speller and proofreader and that sort of thing. Okay, so that's going to have the same elements as that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply, let's see. We need to apply each of these to the columns. And I think we have them all. We'll find out in a minute. So what I need to do now is I need to, as I've done, as we did before, is we're going to go ahead and am I in live view? I am. So let's go back to design view. So let's go ahead and highlight all of these. Okay. And then down at the bottom in our properties panel, I can go ahead and I'll pull that off just so we can see this a little bit better. Right now, a class has not been assigned. So we're going to go ahead and this is going to be the class that we created for class. So I'll come down here to the C's and there is class. You can see how that changes. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead as we start applying the class to each one of these. Okay, so the next one is going to be description. So I have to highlight them all. And again, you can only do that, or the easiest way to do that is in design view. And again, no class has been assigned yet, but we created that one for description. So that's going to be under the D's. Okay. Scroll down until we find it. Description. There we go. Okay. Don't see a change on that. Let's go ahead and let's change this one now. And the next one, I believe, is going to be I think this is going to be length. Yeah, I think this is length. So we're going to go ahead and apply this to length. That's under the L's. Lots of these things. And again, most of them are bootstrap. Come down here. We have, there's length. Okay, and that changes, and that fits much better. Okay, and then we do the same for day. And I think we created one for day, didn't we? If I didn't, then I might have to do that. Let's go ahead. Thought I did. So let's go ahead here. Let's see if we have one for day. Under the D's. There it is, day. And that fits a little bit better. Okay, notice that they're all fitting much better now. So the last one is going to be cost. And since we already have one for cost, we can go ahead and apply that. We didn't need to create a new one, I don't believe. Again, that's under the C's. And everything should fit pretty well now. But there's a couple more things that we're going to do for all of this that make it, again, work even better. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Come on. There it is, cost. There we go. There you have it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save everything. Make sure that that works. Now, you don't see anything fitting at the moment, but let's switch back from that to live view and see what we have going on here. And let's scroll down. And that's not working. So let's see what I did wrong. Because notice that this hasn't stretched out. So there's something in here that where I goofed. And I thought I copied all the styles correctly, but notice how it isn't fitting. So I think under description, let's look under description here a minute and let's see what rule we have of the size that we have here. So under layout and under width. Okay, now this should have been 10 M's. So let's go ahead and maybe a section that's description. Let's change it to M's. And let's change this to 10 M's. I thought I had changed that. 10. No, let's undo that. That's not right. So that's going back. So I have to go back and troubleshoot. I got to figure out where I goofed. Because I thought I had made all the necessary changes that worked. Because it looked like these were fitting better, but oh, maybe I didn't do that. I have that here. So this is table header. But you know what? For each of these, let's go ahead and let's just assign a class to each of these. So that might be part of our problem here. So let's try that. Let's go back up here and under our header section, I'm going to go ahead and apply a class, the class of class to it and see what happens here. Okay, and then under description, we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply that to that class under the header. So let's go back down to description. Boy. Let's see if we can get that. Description. Go, and then under length, let's go ahead and apply that and see if that's working for us. So we need to come down to length. So I mean, as you can tell, I mean, I messed up here somehow. But you know, before I go on and before I add a caption element or I style it for a smartphone, for our custom media query, then I need to fix this or it just won't work. So let's, we can try to do that. So this one is under length. So let's go under L. Again, see if I'm doing this right. And there's length. Okay, and let's go ahead and select this one for day. And under day. And then I need to check, check the settings. I duplicated these, and hopefully it applied the same properties. Day. And cost. So let's come down to cost. That's cost. Come on. Way down here in the C's. There it is right there. Okay, so clearly description is what needs to be changed to stretch this out. So I need to check, and I'm going to check with the textbook right now and make sure that under description, let's see where I goofed here. So let me see. I'm going to go under description, and we have width, we have none. But notice as I change that. So notice that as I'm changing it, it's affecting the header too. So I goofed. The header should not be applied. So I can go back under here and I can remove this class. And I'll remove the class from each one of these in the header. That was the wrong thing to do. It just needs to remain the same as what we had before. Let's just remove that and remove that from there. But it is the description here, that where this is affected. Now if I change it, but it's not moving that over. So maybe the entire, I said the entire table. Now it should be 100%. Let's go back under table. Let's go back under the table itself, section table. And this is 95%. So maybe that's why. So let's go back and let's change that. No, we have width of 100%. We have that. But we're overriding it with 95%. So I'm having trouble here. I'm not sure why the description. So let's go back and look at description here. And that's 38M. So let's go back and change that. But it's I'm just going to go back and I'm going to take that and I'm going to remove it to none. So there's clearly something that I messed up here. So I said that before. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see where I goofed. So for the cost, the rest of these are working. It's the description that isn't working here. So why don't I have that working? Because the bottom of this isn't matching up with the header. So it looks like class is working okay. Section is not matching up and it's too long. So why is that? Let's go back to description. And how about the whole? Let's see, I've got class, description, length, day, and cost. It might be because I have 5 and there are 4. We have table data in here that row needs to be removed. And so that might be my problem. So let me, let's go back from live view to design view. Okay. And it's this one here. So this is where I've screwed up. Remember, we have a total of 5 columns here. And what I need to do is I need to remove a column. And I'm wondering if that's where I goofed up. So what I could do is let's take here. Yeah, I have 5 columns and I only need, and I have 4 from up here. So let's see if I can't take, and if I remove, I have 7 columns and I only need 5. So that could be part of my problem. I don't know why, but let me take a risk here. And I'm going to go to 5 columns and see what happens. And that was it. Ta-da. However, you'll notice that this, okay, up here, the same thing. I'm going to go ahead from here and under the header, let's go ahead and take these guys, and that fits, and now this doesn't fit. So I need to take these 3 and I need to join them together. So let's make sure that I have, there we go. So I'm in design view, and under the header setting, if I select these three, under HTML, I should be able to merge them together. So why in the properties it's not allowing me to do that, I don't know. I'm going to switch to live view and see if it will allow me to do that. So let's come down here. So what I want to do is I want to take from design view, and I want to assign, let's see if I can't do it then from, I have these three here. So I'm going to hold down and select those three. And then under the properties panel, I should be able to merge them. And that's what I want to do. I need to take that. So let's try and let's go back to design view. Okay. So again, I'm going to take the table header from here. I have the description selected. And I want to select these three here. So those three are selected. And let's look in the properties panel. So you can see that I have all of these extra table headers. Let's just do it from the code view. And that might make it easier for us. So I just need one, the description. I'm going to go ahead and I have these extra table headers in here. So I have this table header I can get rid of. I have this table header that I can get rid of, but these are the opening tags. So I need to find the closing tag. Let's see if that fixes that. Okay, so there's my table. There's the description. Table header, table header, table header. And there's got to be a closing somewhere here. So that these length, there we go. So now I need to add the last one. So we have length, but somehow I lost the last one. So I'm going to put them in by hand. Now, is this in the textbook? No, but this is, you know, an example of screwing up and trying to fix it on my own. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in an opening tag for table header. Whoops, can't spell here. Type table header. And I'll put a closing tag. And inside that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put length day. Okay. Okay. And go ahead and do here. Let's see if that adds it. Let's come back up here. And there we go. It added it. So now I'm slowly but surely getting the sucker fixed. So I'm just going to do one more with that. So I have day, and then we're going to add the cost. Somehow, you know, by not matching up, I was able to remove those columns, but then I lost in the header of those. So we'll do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new table header. Okay, and we'll add the closing tag. And then inside that, we're going to put cost. C-O-S-T. And come back up here and click. And there we go. Ta-da! Oh my. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add a caption and we're going to format it. So a caption, what it does is it's kind of like a label for each of these. And so while we're in design view here, I'm going to come back up and I'm going to select the top table up here. And this will be a little bit easier, but it's getting all of the tabular data to work correctly in the right rows and then the correct columns. Okay. And I think we've got it worked out here. So if I don't, let's switch. I'm going to real quickly. I'm going to switch to the live view real quick. and scroll down and make sure it's working. And it is, it works really nice. So we're in good shape. So in the next 20 minutes, I hope we get this fixed. So we're going to go back here, and I'll go back to design view. I'm going to scroll back to the top, and I want to make sure that just, in this case, I want the top table to be selected. And this is going to be done from code view. Okay, so you'll notice in code view, we have the opening tag for the table. And then right after that, we have table row. Well, between the opening tag for the table and table row, we're going to add what is called a caption. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key in code view. And I'm going to put the opening tag and closing tag for caption. Okay. And opening tag, closing tag, and then inside, in between opening and closing tag, I'm going to add 2000, we'll just make it 220 instead of 2017 for the book. Event schedule. Okay, and then we'll come back up here, and you'll notice that that's been added. Okay, it's directly above that, but it's not formatted properly. So we're going to do the same for the bottom one, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to create a style for the captions so that that looks correct. And then the last thing that we have to do, and we'll hopefully get it done, is to format this for the smartphone in our media query. And then we've got everything done. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom table, do the same thing, just click anywhere inside. Go ahead and select the table. And then again, right after the opening tag for the table, I'm going to go ahead and add a caption. Okay, and I'm going to add the closing tag. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and this is going to be 2020 class schedule. Okay, and we'll come back up here, and you'll notice that that's been added. So now the next thing to do is to style it. So what we're going to do is we need to make sure that under green styles, global is selected, and we're going to add a new selector. And this is going to be table T-A-B-L-E, caption, C-A-P-T-I-O-N, hit the return key twice. Now we can go ahead and we can style it. So what we want to do is we're going to start by adding margins. So along the top, we're going to add 20 pixels. 20. And that pushes it down a little bit. And then along the bottom, we're going to add 10 pixels, a little bit less. Okay, so that adds a little bit of space down there. And then color is going to be the text. Anytime they assign color, that's always for the text. That's going to be the 090. Okay. And that's our green. So that's this one here. There you go. So that's right. And then what we want to do under size for type size is we're going to boost it up a little bit. We want to use percentages, and we're going to go to 160%. And then it's going to be centered. 160. There we go. So it's a little bit bigger, and we'll go ahead and center it. And it centers it all. And we want to make sure under type, under style, that it's going to be, hold on here, should have. No. I'm sorry, type weight is going to be bold. There we go. So we're gradually getting this done. And then the line height, So it's going to be font size. Let's go to line height. It's going to be 1.2 M's. So this needs to change M's. And we're going to select that. We're going to make it 1.2 M's. So we're opening up the space between the lines. There we go. And then the last thing, which I already did, was center it. So we've got that done. So let's make sure that everything is selected or saved. I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save All. So that saves the styles, it saves the page, and we're good to go to style this for a smartphone. So next we're going to go to our media query. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resize this. Let's go back in here. Move that over a little bit. Now let's go back in here. Let's see if I can't change the size of this a little bit. Oh, come on. Having troubles here. Highlighting what I want. I don't want all of it. I just want this. Well, I'm going to switch back to live view too. That might help me out. There we go. So now I can go ahead and we can stretch this all the way down here. So you can see how this looks, and it just scrunches it down. It looks horrible. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to style this now. So this is where it gets a little bit, again, you know, I could run into issues here. I can go ahead and I'm going to make sure that I have our CSS designer ready to go. And then what I need to do is I need to, under green styles and not global, I want it to be for our new media query here. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to create a new selector here. And this one is going to be section TV for section table data. TV. And then we're going to put a comma, and then we're going to put section for table header as well, return key. So it will affect the table header and the table data. And what we want to do is under display, okay, so under display, which is under here, we're going to go ahead here. Let's go under display, we're going to select block. And notice how everything has changed. The whole appearance has changed for that. That's what we want. And now we're going to create another rule for the table data, or the table itself, section table, that will only be applied under our media query here for a small screen size. And once it's finished and it works, and you know, it took me a couple of minutes to do the other one to get that working properly. It works superbly for a smartphone. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new selector here. And this is going to be section table. Okay. And now what we need to do is to adjust the margins. So for the left and the right, under margins, they're going to be auto. And notice how, as I'm changing this, it automatically fits much better. Okay. Okay. Now we have to do another few strange things. We're going to go create a new rule for table header. Because notice that all the table headers are stacked on top of one another. We want them to go under their proper category. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create another new rule. This is going to be section table header, PH. Okay. And height we want it to be 0. And again, even though the default is 0, we want to make sure that it we'll just use we don't want auto. We're going to go ahead and we're going to select 0. Okay. And then margin, we're going to select 0. Oh, I just lost my mouse. There we go. So under margin, we're going to make sure that this is set to 0. We're going to make sure that padding is set to 0. We're just using all the way around, trying to maximize the size here. Font size, we're going to go to 0. So let's go to font size. Font size, we're going to go to 0. Okay, notice how that's changing here. And then the border, we want, this is for section table, for table headers. For border, we want none. Okay. We want, come on. Where's our border? We're just saying, I want to type in here none. Okay, so no border. And then the overflow we want to be hidden. So again, if I go back here and I come down to our layout and I scroll down, overflow, we have overflow X and Y. I just want overflow, float, clear. I found this earlier. Let me go back up here. Overflow, make sure I've got the right one selected. Come on, wherever you are. Let's go all the way to the top here. Margins. We want overflow, I guess we want overflow for both hidden. So hold on, that's not right though. There should be just one overflow. Let me just go down to the bottom here. And I'm going to change, I'm going to add it here and see if I can do it here. Overflow. And I'm going to put hidden. There we go. So it hides anything that extends over it. So the next thing, and this is to make sure that it's sort of working, but it's sort of not, because you'll notice that all of those headers are missing now. Because we hid them. So in the next step, we're going to create what are called kind of a pseudo properties here. So what we want to do now is what we're going to do is we're going to create a new rule here. And we want it to be table data, period, date, colon, before. Okay. So this is where it can get kind of squirrely. Hopefully I haven't messed up. So now what we're going to do down here, I want to make sure that I say show set is selected. And what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to apply content and here I'm going to put, and it has to be exactly this way. We're going to put double quotes, date, colon, and a space, and a quote again. Okay. And I'm going to hit the tab key. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to do the same for all these others. We're going to use we're going to create the same thing. We're going to do table data, and it's going to be event before. And again, we're going to create this selector for this. So I don't see a change just yet, but eventually they should all pop up. Let's see if I come down here, see anything just yet. Not yet. So hopefully we will see that in shortly. So let's try that. Let's go back again. And I'm going to create a new selector. How am I doing on time? Well, I'm going to go for another 10 minutes and try to finish this up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new selector. And again, this is going to be TD for table data, period. And this is going to be event. Colon before. And again, with show set applied, I can put in content. I'm going to put in content. And I'm going to do just what I did before. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to put in double quotes, and I'm going to put in event, colon, and space, and then double quotes again, and hit that. And we need to do that for all of these selectors that we've created. So the next one is going to be TD, colon, location, whoops, not colon, period, TD, period, location, quote, location, before. There we go. So again, we're going to go ahead and under show set, we're going to say content. And it's going to be quote, location, colon, space, double quote, hit the tab key. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with this. Got location. The next one is going to be cost. So we're going to add another one for cost. Table data, period, cost. Before. And again, we're going to go back up here and look at content. And this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be, oh, I goofed. I didn't put the whole thing. So no, I did do it right. Content. So the property is content. Yeah, okay. And the value is that. So there we go. So this is the property, quote, I did it right. Never mind. So now we have cost, right? So we're going to put in here double quotes, cost, colon, space, double quotes, and hit the tab key. Okay, so we're gradually getting through all these. We're running up against our hour, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this. I'm going to end today's class because this is, I still have a bit of work to do to go through all of these, and I'll go ahead and I'll finish it up after we're done today, and hopefully everything works. And if I run into any errors, then I will let you know. Let's see, I have a chat here. Okay, Nelson, thank you. So let me go for another 5 minutes and see what we can do, but I still have all of these to do. So I had class, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do cost. cost. The next one is going to be class. No, I just have too many. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it quits for today. And because this is the tedious part. And if I goofed up, then I goofed up. And eventually we'll get all of this, the remaining part of this style. And it does take quite a bit of tweaking of the rules. Notice that nothing really has been affected yet until we get all of these done. Okay, it's coming together. So I'm on the right track, but I can't tell at the moment. With these, where it says before, which is sort of a pseudo class, where it's going to take, and it's going to apply the table headers in the correct, in their correct location. And we have a few other rules that we're going to add as well for table data and a few other things. So anyway, that's it for today, unless you guys have any questions. Okay, tedious, isn't it? Very tedious. But as I said, once this works and once it is properly styled, and you've worked out any issues that I believe I have for most of this, then we're in good shape. And I would highly recommend making sure that you save these lessons, that you may not be using this for your final website, which will be done in Dreamweaver, taking these styles that we created here and applying them to new content. But in the future, if you do build your website from the ground up, it's nice to have these to work from so that you can basically copy and paste if you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Because as you can tell, we've spent how many days on this lesson and how many days on tables, it gets a bit overwhelming. I'm tired of it. So as you know, when I end today, I'll go ahead and I'll finish this up. And we'll work on lesson. I will show you what I've completed, and hopefully that you've completed this. And I can go over some of the basic steps that I did in finishing all these up. And if I run into issues, I will let you know and point out any gotchas. And then we can work on lesson 10. I know that we started the semester with lesson 10, but there are some things that you can do in Dreamweaver with images that I want to point out that we didn't do before. So that's what we'll focus on Thursday. Okay, so there are no questions. So Nelson, I've got you here. So that's it today. If you guys want to leave, you can. I'll go ahead and I'll say goodbye for now. And I will pause the recording and post it shortly thereafter. Yeah, bye, Dan. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Okie doke. Okay. Bye-bye.